Good morning, everyone. There was no reason. I just wanted to see how teachers feel when they do that, when they stand here. It's nice, so I should try it sometimes. Okay, so is anyone a Harry Potter fan here? Raise your hands. Harry Potter? The books or the movies? Okay, I'm hearing some of both, but that's good. I'm going to be talking about both today. So I started reading when I was around 6 years old. I started with Secret 7, Famous 5, Geronimo Stilton, Diary of a Wimpy Kid. And then I stumbled across Harry Potter. And I was the first one who stumbled across it. So I wanted to be the first one in my friend group to be like, yes, this is my series. And I picked up the book. I went to my book nook in the corner of my house. And I opened the first chapter of the first book. It's called The Boy Who Lived. And I read the first 3 pages. And it was really boring. I didn't like it. So I put it down. And over the next year, a lot of my friends started reading the books. And then I coined the fear of missing out before the fear of missing out was a thing around 10 years ago. And I picked up the book again. And I haven't been able to put it down since. And so what is it about a movie like, or a book like Harry Potter that captures us and captures our essence so much? It makes you live what the character is going through. It makes you feel like you want to be that character. And the same thing happened for me. For the next 10 years since I've read the book, that's all I've wanted to be. I've wanted to be a part of the wizarding world. For those who don't know what Harry Potter is, please read or watch it. You're not living life as you are. But for context, he's a normal child who's exposed to the wizarding world and how he deals with problems in his future life. So when I picked up the book and I kept on reading it, I secretly wished too that my parents dropped me off when I was 1 year old to my uncle and aunt's house and were secretly wizards and gave me the opportunities that Harry got. I too, unfortunately for my chipped tooth, ran into platform 9 3/4 in my local Dadar station because I thought that I would be able to go and visit the wizarding world. And those are just some things that I did, but there's one major positive takeaway that has stayed with me until right now. And that is something that we've all been brought up with from a very young age. If we look at Snow White, Cinderella, all the fairy tales that we've been brought up with, the key is that it ends with happily ever after. We've been brought up with the kind of ideal and the kind of vision that whatever we do, we're working towards that happily ever after. And within us, we have to imagine that we are going to get there, which is what gets us there. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Imagination and how we get that idea of imagining and how we can put it to use. So why is imagining important? I will just give you 2 very small examples from my life before I put it into a larger context. And please bear with me for everyone out there watching this as well. These are definitely first world problems, so try to relate to them in some way or the other. What I did was, I related everything in my life to wanting to get into the Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. So if you're not familiar with what happened there, when Harry turned 11, he was delivered an admissions letter into Hogwarts, something looking like this. And just like I'm sure all of you, when you read the books, you all wanted to go there, right? Right, for some reason or the other, because we've seen how magical that world can be. So ever since I was 11, and after that, every year after that, I tried to do my level best to be worthy enough to go into Hogwarts. Why can so many people in the books and the movies go to Hogwarts, but we can't? What makes us worthy to go there? So I got the first chance to put this to test when I was in the 9th grade, so that's around 4 or 5 years ago. And we were up for house captain in the student council, and I could have been in that post. And that's where I linked it to the prefects in Harry Potter. There were a lot of prefects there. So I thought that if Hogwarts has a prefect, and if my school has a student council, and if I'm in the council, then maybe I could go into Hogwarts as well. Maybe I could get that admissions letter. And so I worked my level best. I tried to ace the interviews. I put in all the effort. But unfortunately, I couldn't get in. And that could have easily shattered a hope for a lot of us, right? Like, we would all be really sad. We want to stop thinking about what's next. But I didn't let that happen because I tried to spin that around. Harry was never a prefect and he still got into Hogwarts. So that means I can still too get in, right? So that's one thing that I use to try and spin the problem around and try to imagine that the goal I've set for myself is still very achievable. The next thing that happened was a completely counterintuitive, very different obstacle that I faced, very different from the one I just mentioned. And I dealt with it in the same way. I can't call it an obstacle because when I was giving my 12th grade board exams, which I just finished last year, another thing that came into my mind is that if I can get a full, if I can do my level best there, if I can ace my papers, then I'll get the Hogwarts admissions letter. And so that's what I did. I put in the same amount of effort as I had done 2 years before that. I tried to do everything. And 2 months later, when I did get a full, what I didn't get was a Hogwarts admissions letter. So regardless of me doing well, me doing badly, that just wasn't coming to me. But that shouldn't let you stop from taking the small steps you want to towards getting to being the best version of yourself. And regardless of the goods or the bads, the ups or the downs, if you have something in mind, you should make sure that you get there regardless of all the adversities that come your way. So these are just examples from my life and how imagination and how thinking of the Hogwarts letter as a kind of benchmark has tried to lift me up from step by step. But other reasons why imagining is important, and other reasons how reading books and how consuming content can help us get there, is I'll give you a very famous example. And as to why what we learn in school, yes, that's a stepping stone to where we want to get, but how we have to do so much more out there. Are you all familiar with Facebook? Yes? So Mark Zuckerberg was, now Meta, was the founder of Facebook. And he was studying in the Harvard University. He made sure that his vision was to make a platform that connected all the students at Harvard University to each other, and they could message each other when they had to, very similar to all the platforms we have now. And before that, there were platforms like MySpace and others like that that did the same thing. But what made him take Facebook to the next level and get it to where it is right now, that we on the other side of the world know what it is, all of us, all of our parents use it, it's because he had that vision that he can get to somewhere else. Yeah, he was learning as a software engineer. He too knew how to code, and everyone else in his major knew how to code. Everyone who's studying in my university right now knows how to code as well. But what made him a notch above the rest? It's the vision he had, the creativity he had, the longing that he had that I want to do something from all the content that I have consumed in my years prior. So yes, it's important to study. Yes, it's important to read, but to do something about that, to close your eyes when you're reading, to actually live what the characters are going through, that actually takes you to where you want to be. It makes everything so much more fun, right? And that's the thing, that when we're imagining, it leads to innovation, but without content, without knowledge, we wouldn't be able to do that imagining. So I'm not saying that one is more important than the other. I'm saying that they go hand in hand. And that's what you have to keep in mind as you move forward. I will get back to this in a second, but before that, I will ask you to close your eyes. I'm sorry if this influenced you in any way, but just close your eyes. And another reason why imagining is important. Think of a green character. A green character you might have seen, anything you might think of. Okay, you can open your eyes now. I'm assuming you would have thought of the Hulk, as we spoke about the Marvel superheroes right now. You might have thought of Shrek, or Mike Wazowski from Monsters, Inc. But did anyone think of something completely different? I see very few hands that show that, and that's the point I'm trying to make. It's that everything that we go through in the life around us, we read books, we look at posters, we watch movies, we talk to people, and their perspectives influence all of us. If we asked a 3-year-old what they thought of when we thought about a green character, it would be a slimy green blob that had very few physical features. But that's our imagination, right? It's our own, and nothing can take that from us. What we see in movies it's a director or a producer or a writer's imagination that's being brought to life. It's not our imagination, and that's where reading comes into play. When we're reading, it's just us and the words in front of us. We can make of it whatever we want. And that's why when we watch movies, like if I know that most of you said books and movies for Harry Potter. We read the books, but the movies were so much different from what we thought. We didn't know that Hermione would look the way that she does, and that's just one example. So it changes our perspective so much. All I'm trying to say is that you should never let the inner child within you, the inner imagination within you ever die by letting it being influenced by other things around you. So always stick true to your roots while exploring the things out there. And now you must be wondering that I'm preaching a lot about this. You should imagine, you should do this, you should do that. But how can we do that in our day-to-day lives when nowadays we're studying so much, we don't have time to read, we don't have time to do other things. So what can we do? I'll tell you something that's worked for me. I'll be very honest. I don't get as much time to read or do anything else as much as I used to when I was 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. What I started doing is started penning my own thoughts down, uploading them on the internet for others to see, for others to build on. That's something I did. I got into dramatics, improvisation, just closing your eyes, thinking about what would this be. And if you can't do any of that, it's just something, if you're getting bored, if you have nothing else to do, don't let your mind sit idle. Just always keep it running, keep it fun, make yourself laugh. That's the most important thing to do. And if you can't do any of that, just think of 2 simple words. That is, what if? If right now, let's take me in this setting, and suppose I'm not giving the talk, I'm just standing on this stage, and we just imagine, what if a dragon flies in from the back of the auditorium and swoops me on its back and I fly into Neverland? What if Shah Rukh Khan walks through that door right now and he says, well done, Vivaan, what a great orator you are. And what if I just completely disappear? If you right now are sitting here listening to people talk for 45 minutes on end on a Saturday when you could be home playing football, doing something else, and you can't leave from here because you're supposed to be here, you can close your eyes and imagine me in a samurai uniform about to take on the world. And that's just going to put a smile on your face, and that's going to keep your mind active. It's going to make you keep thinking, make you keep imagining things that you might otherwise have given up on, and that's something that's really important. So it's just something as simple as that. If you don't get time on a day-to-day basis to read, write, and do anything else like that, just ask what if. And as I near the end of my talk right now, I could have ended with some flowery ending with an impactful meaning like many people try to do. But that's going to counteract the whole purpose of my talk, isn't it? There's nothing more filling and fulfilling than your imagination. And so I'm just going to leave this talk right here and let you fill in the ending, because no matter what I say, your imagination is far going to exceed your own expectations. Thank you.